Josh,
This meeting is being
did you have like
recorded.
that like chart or something like so we could kind of like keep track of like what we think everything's gonna happen? Were you saying something about that?
I mentioned it. I don't have anything. I mean, I guess I could put it up, or if one of y'all
Yeah,
wants to
just
do it.
like put it up and like we can kind of like go through it and like
What
maybe
do
do
you
like
think?
an hour's
I'm
worth
on.
or
Like,
50 minutes of it.
I got to work over here to my computer to do it. Do y'all? Unless one of y'all has your computer up and wants to do it, I can get to my computer real quick. And it just depends if y'all want me to do it or if y'all want to do it.
You can go ahead and do it. And then that way when you send me the yeah, you go ahead and do it. That way maybe it's easier in case with the video. Um,
All right, let me get to my computer here.
but so I guess while that's happening, so who wants to be the first? So maybe like we can kind of like round robin this, like so everyone does
Like,
one prediction
this, I got to
and
get
then
my
everyone
computer turned
comments
on.
on it. Do what?
I said, talk about something before that because I got to get this computer booted up.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like what we'll do is like so like maybe I'll start us off and be like, hey, like I think that we're gonna have a recession in 2025, right? And then like everyone will just kind of like hot take it. What do you think? What do you think it is? And then like we'll go to Austin, and then he'll do the next one, and then Josh, you can do it, and then so on and so forth, and just kind of like it can be anything or
Isn't
anything,
isn't
anything or
there
everything.
isn't there an AI tool that like would like write down like what you say on here? I feel like there is.
There could be. I think it's actually in the notes, like the notes that you sent me. I think it like kind of transcribes it.
That would be dope.
Yeah,
Okay.
but just like having it up like visually, maybe like that could be a
Someone
better way for us to keep track of it.
someone tag Grok on Twitter to do
Oh
it for us.
God, I'm not gonna fucking do that. I don't want to give Elon any more like money or you know all
He
that
gets
shit.
$118 from me a year on Twitter,
Oh Jesus.
but they're paying me
Um,
for my tweets now, so I'm okay with it.
yeah. So let's just start off with that like recession 2025. What do we think?
I agree. Yeah, I mean Scott Bassett kind of made some comments today that kind of suggested that like what was the one he suggested? Kind of like he would be open to like a weak dollar, and then there was something else he kind of suggested. So it's a pretty good indicator, I think.
So what would you say is like so you think that's going to happen in 2025?
Yeah, I mean if we kind of talked about like last night with like the Atlanta Fed, like that's usually kind of overstated, but like it is probably a good directional. And then like there's been some other stuff I think I've sent in the group chat, like I've seen like hiring is kind of it's still steady, but it's at its weakest point in like 4 years. And then too, something a lot of people have pointed out is like we're now hitting the point like demographically, like we just don't have that many young people anymore. Like I
Mm-hmm.
mean, birth rates dropped below replacement back in the late 2000s, so we're now 18 years past that. So obviously that's kind of going to create some weakness in the workforce. So I think
Yeah.
we can't rely on unemployment as good of an indicator of recession as we used to be able to. But I mean, the fact that like like I said, like that Atlanta Fed's pretty good indicator. There's some other indicators I've seen. So yeah, I agree. I mean, if not this year, then definitely next year.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think, Josh? You
Can
think it's
you
going to
ask
be a
me?
recession in 2025?
I think it's going to be a recession in 2025. Yes. Yeah, I do.
All right. So, any particular reason why? Why do you think it's going to happen?
I think the economy is kind of just in one of those situations where I think there's no other way to have it. It'll have to be a recession. I mean, it sucks,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't see. I don't see there being any way out of it.
Okay. Okay. All right, Austin, you're up.
Are we wanting to limit this to like 2025, or do we want to kind of we could expand it?
Uh,
We could.
let's
I mean, we could keep it to
let's
2025
do
if we wanted.
2025, 2026. That
Also,
way, when
I
we
am
like
using some
revisit it
delegation.
later.
Let me know like what you want on your thing here, because like I don't know like what like because if you like
So
God,
just put on there right now, like predicts that a recession will happen in 2025.
for you or for Austin.
I'd say all of them. And then like we can see if there's like disagreements between each one. You know what I mean? So like if Austin said he did, and then we would say then it would show like Austin doesn't think
What
that.
I could do is, you me do like a section that's just all of us.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
maybe you can do like a consensus.
Yeah, we'll do like a consensus one. Hold on a second.
All right, go ahead, Austin.
If I had to pick one, like I think the Ukraine war will end. I think there's a lot of indicators suggesting that. Like today, they cut off Maxar, supplies of like satellite imaging and stuff. So that's a pretty good indicator like the pressure is increasing. So I think there'll be some sort of deal, if not this year, the next year.
Do you want to get even more specific on when you think a deal will end?
I mean, it's like specifically, I feel like that's almost impossible to predict. I think
Like maybe like even like Q1, Q2, Q3, like any of that kind of stuff.
Well, he cut off the flow of military supplies the other day. So if that continues, I mean, most of the reporting seems to suggest by the summer they'd be kind of running low. So let's say Q3. I mean, kind of like towards the fall. I think by that point, like there'll be enough like military pressure, something will have to give. Like I don't know if you've been paying attention, but like the Kursk salient is like really exposed already. Like there's some operations going on against its flank, so it does look like that's about to wrap up, and I think that'll just keep the pressure building.
Yep.
So I would just put like some sort of deal in Ukraine is kind of mine.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably say the same. I'd say either the war will end in Q2 or Q3 of 2025. Yeah, I think it. So here's my thing. I'm almost honestly like a little bullish on it. I think that like I guess it really kind of depends on like when does the war end. But I mean, they're already kind of working out like what a deal would be. And so I think that and I think Trump kind of wants this to happen probably like by like May when kind of like the season for fighting is kind of like in full swing. So I think that you might even see something in like Q2. Like I think Trump is like, hey, like if we don't get this done now, Russia's going to advance and we're going to have less of a position than where we were before. So I would go with my prediction being Q2, Q3 for the Ukraine war coming to an end. What do you think, Josh?
So you do what for your prediction?
Yeah, you can put it on there unless you disagree with it.
No, I was saying like, can you tell me it so I can like write it down now?
So Ukraine war will end Q2, Q3 of 2025.
In Q2 of 2025.
Yeah, Q2/Q3. So what do you think? Do you think that that's kind of the case there, Josh?
I think it'll be a
Or are
little
you
later.
gonna or are you gonna even be more like bearish?
I think it's gonna be later this year.
When do you think that'd be like do
I'm
you
thinking
think
like October, November. So like kind of in
you're
that.
thinking like Q4?
Yeah, I'm thinking Q4. I'd go with Q4 in that.
Okay.
I kind
And
of
then, yeah, go ahead. Awesome.
I kind of agree. Like maybe like September, October. That's a good time frame, I think.
Yeah. So it's like Q3, Q4. So maybe you guys can put that as like because I guess like for me, I'm like, in the winter, there's not really going to be as big of an incentive to fight because like neither one of them are probably going to want to like do anything. And I think once you kind of start getting into other congressional priorities and stuff, and I think Trump will probably have lost a lot of his momentum. I think for me, I'm like, he's got to do it sooner rather than later. But okay, that's interesting. All right, Josh, what do you got as far as prediction?
On what or just anything?
Anything.
Um, so I'm gonna say we'll see. Um, I think we see housing market crash back down in Q3. I think we see the crypto market plummet in Q by the end of Q2. We'll see the bottom of it, and I think it'll have a bull run from 3 to 4.
So let's do that piece by piece because I was actually thinking of crypto while you're doing it. So let's do the housing. So you think the housing market will crash when?
Yes, Q4.
Okay.
I think we will see like next year, like early next year will be the year if you're trying to buy houses to buy houses.
What do you think
So
there,
I
Austin?
think
As far as like the housing one or the crypto one?
Housing. Let's start with housing.
Yeah, I could. I mean, there is a lot of signs the economy is especially overheated. I don't think it'll be as bad as like 2008, but like I definitely do think there is kind of like cause for correction at this point. Like something really big, like going back to the demographics point, like you just were, I think I had an article saved on it, and I should have sent in the group chat because I can't remember what specific name of it, but it was like like 2008 was like the last time we really had above replacement fertility rates. So now like all those kids are now 18, so now we're looking at decreasing youth population. So that means you're looking at decreasing buyers for housing. Then too, the boomers are starting to die off. Like a lot of the housing increase the last few years was boomers moving out of their family homes and like buying new homes, like moving around and stuff. Like I think the median age of the home buyer is now like 58, and that's just because all the boomers. But like they're hitting the point they're starting to die off. I mean, can't really put too fine of a point on it. So if you're hitting the situation where the boomers aren't around to buy, and then there's just not enough young people to buy, then yeah, some sort of corrections pretty much inevitable. It's just a supply and demand issue.
But would you say Q4 or would you say Q3? When do you think that's going to happen?
Uh, I mean, if we have a recession, so I mean that would obviously be part of a recession. So like, if a recession kicks off, like we're thinking some point this year, I would say Q3, Q4 would probably be the start of it. So whenever we think the recession will hit, kind of with that, I think would be the most likely.
I would say so. First off, I think it's going to depend on what market you're looking at and everything like that. And so I don't want to get too granular on it, but I think that you're going to have, you know, I almost want to say like because people now are going to be buying homes and stuff like that. I almost want to say like yeah, like you may not see a recession, like you may not have a housing bubble pop until maybe like Q3, beginning of Q3. Um, just because I think sometime in Q3, maybe what is that, July or August or something. Just because I think that you're gonna have all these people buying homes, then it's gonna slowly peter off, and I think you're still gonna have stagnant prices. Um, but I think the market will kind of stabilize up a little bit. So I'm like, I don't even know if it's gonna be a bubble, but I think it'll be like an afford. Like I think no one will be buying, but that's not because of the market. I mean, that's not really because of the market itself. I think it's just because people don't have the expendable income to buy homes. So I might go with I might go with Q4 on this. Just because I think like you guys are saying, like there's gonna be a little bit of a lag. So I might say housing market might kind of officially bust in Q4, but I think we'll see signs in Q3. So I would put for me there, Josh, like I'd say Q3/Q4 for housing market bubble. And it sounds like you guys are kind of thinking the same for Q3, Q4. Is that right?
So what do you mean?
So I'd say put Q4/Q3 for housing bubble.
For all of us?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd say it's almost gonna be like a late Q3. Like I don't think it's gonna be early. I think you're gonna see stuff in March and September. Um, well, I guess that's early Q3, but I think you'll see something in there. And like I said, I don't know if it's gonna be a full on crash, kind of like with what Austin's saying, but I think you'll see a correction. Um, yeah. So now Bitcoin or crypto or whatever. So I think I'm not even sure how I would think crypto is going to be because I think crypto might kind of like I think crypto is going to correct as well. But I guess kind of like with what you're saying, Josh, is I think then it's going to go into a bull.
I think it
Um,
goes a little bit. It's got to bottom out first here early.
yeah. Well, and I mean, they were
I
down to
invest.
like what 88,000 for Bitcoin,
Yeah, I mean,
a
I
few weeks
invest.
ago, and it's kind of gone back up.
I have a few things of crypto. I mean, I typically do like meme coins, and I have a little bit of like I have some Soul, but I mean, Bitcoin. I think it is. I think it's at 87 or 86 right now.
Hmm. So you think crash, and then you're going to see a bull run on it?
Yeah,
What do you think, Austin, for crypto?
President
Austin,
Doug.
can you hear me, Josh?
Yeah, I got you. Do you got me?
Oh, yeah, I got you. Um, Austin, what do you think about the crypto thing?
I just gave an answer and had no idea I was muted, so that was my bad.
No, you're
but
good.
uh, but honestly, I don't know enough about crypto to even really comment. I've never really looked into it or researched it enough. That's one thing that's just always been kind of outside my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll defer to you guys on that one.
Put that up down there for us, Josh. It's like we think that'll happen, and you know, and I think honestly, like I mean, crypto, like I guess for me, it's kind of like if the economy looks decent, crypto's gonna kind of stagnate. But like I don't really even know, man. Like that's the thing is like I don't really kind of know where crypto's gonna go. I think it's gonna keep going up. But like I don't think your people I think people are trying to get in on like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna like quadruple my money, and it's like I don't think you're gonna see that. Like
No, I
people are
mean,
people are so late in that, it's like I don't think you're gonna see that.
no. If you were gonna make like, if you were gonna make like generational money, yeah, you're too past that. Like that happened in, that was people that had Bitcoin in 2010 and sat on it.
Yeah. All right, Austin, give us another prediction.
I think there will be, we'll go with the term the media has been around with, although it'd probably have a different name. There'll be some sort of Mar-a-Lago accord between probably us, the Chinese, possibly some other nations, maybe like Japan or something, where we sit down and we're like, okay, let's fix currencies or let's fix the debt markets. Let's do something. I've seen a lot of different ideas. I know the idea that they've floated is a little bit different from what the people I know that like advise the administration have said, but like there'll be some sort of we'll say some sort of deal concerning like debt and currency. So yeah, at some point this year there'll be some sort of deal.
What do you think about that, Josh? You think there's gonna be like some international um consensus on debt and currency?
I'm with Austin on this one. And also I think you said that you see it later in the year, but I think we will see some form of a deal.
Yeah, I mean there's just
See,
so many. Go ahead, sorry.
I'll knock on it. I don't think you're gonna see anything this year.
Really?
You think it'll be like further down the line, or do you think it'll happen at all?
I think that you're gonna see. I think it might be further down the line, but I think that's when you start getting into politics and stuff like that. I
Mhm.
just think that, like, I think Trump is like, okay, we got to close out Ukraine, we got to close out this Gaza stuff, or at least stabilize those situations, at least in Gaza, and then I think he's gonna be like, all right, now we're gonna do something about this, you know. And I don't think you're gonna see that in 2025. You
So maybe
might
like
see it early, maybe summer of 2026. But I don't think you're going to see anything this year. What were you going to say?
I was going to say like 2026 or something. So I mean, I think we all kind of agreed something's coming down the pike. It's just a question of when. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's not a huge difference. I don't think.
yeah. And this it kind of happened in the 2000s as well. So I don't think it's going to be like I think people think that stuff doesn't change, but I think you'll see that it does change. Um, so here's one that I got. Um, do you see will the Department of Education be exist in 2025?
No.
What do you think, Austin?
I want to say yeah. I don't. I foresee way too much resistance on that.
Yeah. So Josh, give me your take. Why do you think? Why do you think?
I think Trump's. I think he opposes it. I think I understand where that there's going to be some pushback to it, but I genuinely think that's going to be one of the things that he's talked really like crazy about. Like towards the end of last year, I don't see it. It will not be a thing after Q2.
Okay. So I think that it will. I think you'll still see the Department of Education. I think you'll see some stuff transferred out, but I think you'll still see the Department of Education exist, especially for like smaller stuff like grants and that what Title I funding or something like that. But I think you'll see a lot of other stuff kind of get sent out. Okay. All right, Josh. What's a prediction you think?
Department of Ed gone by Q3. Um, I'm gonna go on. I'm gonna go on the immigration side of things. I
Okay.
don't think I do. I think we're gonna see mass deportations all year long. Um, I think that's something that I don't think it's gonna die off. I think
So let's clarify that a little bit. What is a mass deportation? What constitutes a mass deportation?
mm,
Because you can make the argument, isn't Trump doing that now?
yeah, that's also fair. Um, shoot, I don't know how I would go about mass. I guess I meant more of like, like what's kind of going on now. But I think we will see. I guess we could put a number on how many we think are going to be deported.
Yeah, that could be a good one.
I don't know. I don't know. That'd be a hard number for me to guess, but 'cause I just don't see it ending this year. I really don't. I think it's going to be something that's. I think that will be one of the bigger points that the Democrats try to fight. Um, and that'll be kind of something they try to lean on.
So you think mass deportations in 2025, and then you would maybe guess on what number that would be, or maybe mass deportations, but impact unsure.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say.
So I think he's gonna basically do what people thought he was gonna do, right? Hey, we're gonna get rid of all the criminals, we're gonna get rid of all these things. So I think you might see, and this is where I'm like, I don't really know kind of like what the norm is on deportations. I think you might see whatever the norm is, plus like maybe 50,000 people or something.
Yeah, that's fair. You said 50,000.
I think so.
I was gonna go ahead. I was gonna go higher than that.
You think so? Well, that's what I mean. I'm like whatever the normal is. Like if you say, hey, the average people getting deported across the board is 250,000 people, then I'd say it'd probably be like 300,000 people that get deported. You know what I mean?
That's kind of where I was at with it. Was saying I was gonna say 2 or 300, but
Okay.
I like
So put for me, uh, mass deportations, um, 40 to 50,000 above nominal. What do you think, Austin?
So I'm gonna go. I think I kind of gotta disagree with you guys a little bit on this. And
Okay.
so if you look at the current numbers, they're on track for between, if I remember correctly, based on what they're doing on a daily basis right now. They're on track for, I want to say it's around 200,000 this year, which sounds like a lot, but it's not drastically above like normal values. Like that's significantly below what he did in his first term, if I remember correctly. It's definitely below what Obama averaged during his presidency. It's lower than, or I think it's higher than Biden, but Biden was kind of the exception to the rule. And
Mm-hmm.
there's already been a lot of reporting that like he's really frustrated at the progress. There's stuff like DHS is just struggling to kind of make the numbers. And then there's been some talk like I know Eric Prince of like Blackwater's been like, you could hire us. We'll do private
Right.
contracting on this. So it's like there's a lot of signs that the capacity just isn't there like it used to be, and they blame the Biden administration. I kind of believe that because I mean when you look at the numbers, it seems clear there was definitely like a conscientious you know effort against the machinery back during the Biden years. I mean, I kind of believe it, but it's like it takes time to rebuild that back, and then by the time they do rebuild it back, there's probably going to be a lot more political pushback on it. So
So
I kind of
you're saying that maybe below nominal?
uh, it'll be higher than it was in the Biden years, but I don't think it'll be like it's nowhere near as much as he's made it out to be. I agree with you. It'll be like he'll at least achieve like we'll get criminals, we'll get this or that. But I think
Mm-hmm.
like everybody that's just a pipe dream at this point. And then two, like we talked about it before, like there is kind of like a political you know angle to it too, not just like people fighting on it, but it's also just like with the shift in Hispanic communities. I mean, where's really the? I mean, obviously, like you could make a big show of it. And I think he's done that so far. So like the element of the base that's like really enthused about that will be kind of at least somewhat mollified. But then also like you don't want to go too far the other way and then alienate all these new voters. So I think they'll keep making a big show of it for probably at least through the summer, and then I think by the fall or so they'll just kind of quietly give up on it, and then whatever.
So what do you want Josh to put down for you?
like what do you mean?
Like what Austin, what do you want Josh to put down as a prediction for you?
Let's just say so we're going by numbers. I think it'll be 200,000 or lower, and then stops being an issue.
Okay. Now what's your next prediction that you want us to discuss?
Ooh, that's a tough one because Josh stole my thunder on that. I was actually literally the moment he said that I was thinking it before. I was like, we should probably talk about
Oh,
immigration.
I was thinking about Bitcoin when he was talking about it, and then he's like, yeah, Bitcoin and housing, and I was like, shit, that one was mine.
I'm good, dude.
Dude
Okay,
is just like
so
all over it.
what do you think?
So we're wanting to keep this kind of contained to 2025, right?
You can go 2026. I would say let's just do from now till the midterms.
Okay, because I was going to say like, we've talked about foreign policy, domestic policy. The big one. Okay, here's a good one that like I don't think we've discussed them all. So like they're wanting to get his big tax bill from 2017 renewed. Do we think that's going to happen? I just don't think they have enough of a majority in Congress to get through like something like that. And I think that's a big reason he's going on the so much for the executive orders too. There's just not a working majority, so I don't think we'll have the tax bill, or at least as big of a deal as he's thinking, will be passed. So no tax bill.
I would say the minimum we can expect is the extension of the tax cuts. Maybe
An
not
extent
making them permanent, but I feel like they would be extended.
that's a pretty good one. I don't think he's also want to go further on it. I know he's said he's wanting to cut.
See, and that's where I don't think that'll happen. I don't think
Yeah,
that's
that's
going to happen.
I don't either. So we'll go with that. I think an extension, but nothing drastically different.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What do you think, Josh?
On which one?
Trump tax cuts. You think they're gonna? You think he's gonna extend 2017?
Yeah, they're
Do
gonna
you
get
think they're
extended.
gonna grow 2020 from or
The
expand from 2017, or do you think
the
those are
Tax
gonna go
Cuts and
down?
Jobs Act, yes, will be extended.
But do you think there's gonna be any additional anything tacked onto that additional? Like, do you
No.
like let's say it's a $2 trillion 2017? Do you think it's gonna be a $5 trillion whatever in 2025?
Oh, yeah, I could see it growing a little bit.
Okay. What would you put like by growing by how much?
I would say 3 to 4. I would say 3 to 4 million. We'll see, or trillion, or whatever we said it was.
So you think the 2025 tax cut will be uh, expanded?
Yep.
So I think you're going to see an expansion too, but I think it's going to be very small and probably more targeted. I think like he's going to use 2017 as a framework, tweak some stuff, and then be like, "Hey, look, we got this new tax bill out," and it's like this is basically just 2017. So you may see like an extra few $100 billion in tax cuts, but I don't think you're going to see much. So put me down for that, Josh, and then Austin. You're saying that there will be just an extension of the cuts.
Andrew, what am I putting you down for?
Put me down for extension of tax cuts. Extended and tweaked. Minor change in size. And I'd say plus or minus 1 trillion. Over 10 years.
Really a high tech system we got here at the Progressive Conservative Podcast. We got poor Josh over here doing all our
Hey
talking.
man, we just need a sponsor, man. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to just get some sponsors. Oh, by the way, I got kicked. I actually got in trouble because I would, I'd do like a $2 ad or something, and Google actually flagged it because apparently I cursed within the first 3 minutes or something of it. I'm sitting here and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So what are you putting down here for the tax cuts, Austin? What do you want? What do you want Josh to put you on the record for?
Just say an extension. I really don't think it'll be. I mean, we might see under 100 billion adjustments, but I just don't see anything more than
So you
that.
think
So
just an extension?
yeah.
Okay.
And I think any adjustments will be kind of minor.
Okay. So Josh, just put extension of tax cuts for Austin, minor changes for Austin.
We need a secretary for this.
Well, get your secretary on here.
Actually, I probably could add her an hour or two if you want to do something like this.
Honestly, maybe
Maybe we'll do that.
maybe we'll think about that in the future. I didn't know we could pull AFP resources.
The future.
He's just want to go full Mad Men where we all have our own secretaries and
Dude,
stuff.
fucking tell me about that, dude. I that's literally so that's the show that I'm watching now in my free time, and I'm like grinding through it, and I'm just like, damn, all these guys got secretaries and shit, and I'm like I need a fucking secretary. You know,
Yeah,
there's just bullshit that I just don't want to do, and I need somebody to do that stuff for me.
I highly recommend it, man.
Oh, I know. Um,
I love
so
I love my office.
so let's see what so here's one Chips and Science Act. Do you think that I think that I don't want to say it's going to be cut, but all further spending will be cut. So like no more money is probably going to come out from the Chips and Science Act.
Which one?
What do you mean? Which one?
Is that going under you?
Yeah, that's going under me.
What was it you said?
So the one that you just had there was for Austin.
Then yeah, I'm gonna move it down. What did you say there?
I said Chips and Science Act.
Wait, chips?
Yeah, chips. And Science Act will be defunded.
Like Lay's, Fritos.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chips and Science actual what?
Will be defunded. And then that's science. Not science.
Oh, science. You said.
Yeah. All right. What do you think? What do you think, Austin?
Yeah, I kind of agree. It'll be kind of wound down. I mean, it's not been hugely successful, and I think it's also just like I would not be surprised if there's also just an element of like, okay, this is Biden's. You know, one of Biden's signature things. We might as well get rid of it.
I think that's what it's going to be more than anything. I think it's just going to be all, hey, fuck Biden, we're getting rid of this. I would say maybe I wouldn't say it hadn't been successful, but I would say that Trump's like, hey, I want that money to go elsewhere. So, and I think that's why you see a lot of the Apple stuff, where he's like, Apple's doing a $500 billion investment. I think it's so he can be like, hey, like this is justifying me cutting the Chips and Science Act. But so you're saying that the Chips and Science Act is going to be completely defunded as well. Is that right, Austin?
Yeah, I think they'll probably finish what's currently on the table. They'll probably still do some stuff with like they're trying to get. I think they're still trying to get that TSMC partnership with Intel. I imagine they'll kind of finish that stuff up, but I think as far as like further appropriations and stuff, I just don't really see it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's going to be like no more money is going to go out the door. What do you think, Josh?
I'm with Austin on that one. I think we see it finished out with what it is.
Okay. All right. So, Josh, what do you have for next one?
Hold on 1 second. I think we see a massive AI expansion in 2025. I think we see another mass AI expansion.
Okay. What do you think, Austin?
I think Josh needs to quit reading my mind. I was literally sitting here thinking like AI will be the next thing I pick up. Honestly, I gotta disagree. I think there's a lot of signs that there's going to be a correction in the market. Nvidia has lost like what 20% of their stock value so far this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so far, yes.
So I the big kind of confounding factor here, and like I'm sure you saw. Did you see that about the DeepSeek thing where the Chinese came out with their own highly efficient model? Like the biggest sign that I have seen that shows how disruptive that was. So a lot of these AI companies were like looking to like massively increase their access to like energy. So like a lot of them were signing like direct deals with like nuclear power plants to kind of secure enough, electricity for their data centers. Microsoft went and like closed out most of their deals. Like they even paid penalties to get out of them. So I mean, to me, that's a pretty good indicator. A lot of the expansion may not happen, but it's also like, there's been some other stuff since DeepSeek came out that's kind of been like really disruptive to the market. So I mean, there is kind of that where it's like, it could make it so efficient that could cause a boom, but it's also like you're seeing all these companies lose stock value. So it's kind of like it could be kind of like a bust boom where like a lot of our companies get like really hammered this year because like their model obviously is less efficient. But then once they kind of internalize or kind of adopt best practices from like the DeepSeek, it could be like it could set up a future boom. So I mean, it's kind of put me down for bust boom. That's why, or not bust, yeah, bust boom, because I just think it's going to be a lot more volatile than just a straight boom.
So I think I'm actually selling a lot of my NVIDIA stock. I think that
Big baller over here.
Well, I mean, I had a bunch before they did the split, so I act like I have a lot, but it's only like 10 shares. And it was like maybe a quarter before everything. I would say that I agree that I don't like I think there's gonna be like a correction in AI and stuff like that. I think kind of maybe like what Josh is trying to say is I think that you're gonna see it's gonna be everyone's gonna be like using probably AI and things like that more. I don't think that you're gonna see those stocks really go up in value or anything like that.
So kind of like it kind of mass proliferates, but not necessarily like.
Yeah, and I mean, people are already using ChatGPT, so like you're already gonna have that. I think you're gonna see like little widgets and stuff like that that people are gonna incorporate in their AI, but I don't think you're gonna really see much more than that. I think I know a lot of people worry about the AGI and all that kind of stuff. I still think like, and I think I forget. I know Ezra Klein did an interview with someone here recently. And I think it's like he's saying it's like we'll see that by the end of the Trump administration. I don't think you're going to see it in 2025, but I think you could maybe see it more in 2026 of like a mass proliferation and expansion of AI in 2026. So put me down for that, Josh.
Put you down for what?
AI expansion in late 2026. And then Austin, you're saying that there will be no expansion in AI
I think it'll. I mean,
or
I think it'll
market
have.
correction in AI, right?
Yeah, I think that'd be probably the best way to put it. I'm extremely skeptical of AGI. Like I know what you're talking about. He did that article and it was like I think the title of it was like governments know AGI is coming, but like I don't know the people I talk to and stuff, and then I kind of look into like what they're doing. Like the big thing with like DeepSeek, which made it such a big disruptor, was that like it's not necessarily a more advanced thing. It's just they figured out how to do.
Yeah, they're doing it better.
They're doing it. They're doing it. Yeah, it's basically like more efficient, cheaper. You get the same product for less, but it's not necessarily advancing things. So like a big point people raised to me is like if we can get the same for less, and we're not having to spend like 500 billion to get to AGI. It doesn't make sense to do AGI when we can do the same for less. And it's like, and to once you go for that, like to actually get that ubiquitous, like the energy constraints on it are just so huge. Like you would need those nuclear power plants for it at that point. So I'm very skeptical of AGI all around.
Okay. So that was that. Austin or Josh, you do one. I gotta take a phone call real quick.
You want me to do it? I feel like I keep starting these. I'm reading.
Okay, then Austin, you do one.
Yeah.
So let's. This was actually something I was going to bring up the other night, and I think it kind of since we're kind of on science topics. Did you see that where they made like a woolly mice? They basically like spliced like mice with like the genes to be like woolly mammoths, and like it made them like really super wool. Like I know I'm going to mispronounce it. Woolly. They made the mice like woolly mice. Tough crowd.
Yes, maybe. Sorry, I was like, I was trying to think of what the fuck you were talking about. I was like, what are you talking about? Well, I literally had that conversation with my head. I was like, what the fuck?
But
Hey, I need you to like make that make sense. Like, speak that in English for me.
So basically, there's a lot of companies right now doing. I guess you would call it like maybe bioengineering or yeah, I guess we'll just call it bioengineering. And like they're trying, like the big one they're trying to do right now is there's this company called Colossal, and they're trying to make woolly mammoths, like bring back the woolly mammoth. And they're claiming by the end of 2026 they think they'll have their first like calf born. And then like there was something in the news this week where like these scientists had like they're still in
You're
the testing
saying that
phase.
we're gonna have woolly mammoths again.
Yes, that is actually something that's having a lot of like work going on right now.
So yeah, and I know what you're talking about. I wouldn't say specifically woolly mammoths are going to come back, but that's always something that people talk about, and honestly, I'm just like not interested in it. Like
Well,
even as like this is in my space, I'm just like not even like
I forgot about that. So
I
you
don't think
do
it's very important.
you do like work in like the biology field, don't you? So like
Mhm.
it's colossal, and so you're very like interesting. Okay, so like what is your expertise on this? I'm actually kind of curious because I'd
So
never
like
made
from
that
my
connection.
understanding, the way they're doing it is they're basically taking like
Making hairy elephants, basically.
right, but and then they're like they the way that the thing is actually born is they kind of put it in like a similar animal, right? So like with the woolly mammoth, they may put in like an elephant or
Yeah,
certain things like that, and then it just gives birth to this thing. Um, I and like I said, I think like yeah, like okay, great, like we can do that, but like I don't really see like the point of doing that, right? Like I don't really get the scientific like purpose of like okay, great, now we've got woolly mammoths, and it's like okay, but like what does that tell us? And I feel like it's one of those like oh cool, look at this thing we can do, but it's not like oh like like it's not really groundbreaking in my mind. Um, Now, I think there was like one with sheep where they've already kind of done something similar where they've like like it was like a cloned sheep or something
yeah,
like that. And
Dolly,
they
yeah,
yeah, and I thought even with that there was like it acted a little weirder than some of these other animals. And so like I think that's why I'm like I think they're gonna do something, but I don't think you're really gonna see much come out of it, and it's not really gonna be groundbreaking. Um because it's like, okay, like what? Like people like what's like that's why I'm just kinda like, what's the end goal of that? Like I really don't get that. Like it's more of just kinda like, hey, here's this thing we can do. Um so I don't see much of that stuff happening. I'll tell you the thing that's I think is really gonna be interesting is and I was doing a little bit of work on this and took a class on this while I was at Tech is gonna be with the immunoengineering stuff. And that's basically where you use like your immune cells to basically attack like cancers and viruses and diseases and stuff like that. And like, for example, cancers like, that evades detection from your immune cells. That's why they're able to kind of grow. And I think you're going to start seeing a lot of that stuff happen. I don't think it's going to happen in 2026. But I think like, I mean, if you wanted to make it broader, like, yeah, like, and something I know will happen is immunotherapies are going to become more and more prevalent by 2026. But like, that's not really kind of like what the question was. So I would say I think that's one of the ones that like if you're interested in bioengineering or any of that kind of stuff at all, like that's where I tell people to like put a emphasis on is the immunoengineering stuff because that's where all the groundbreaking work's done. So that's my perspective, Austin.
I'm trying to think how we can get Josh to what the get the
So
WTF. Yeah,
so I think what was your guys' question? Like what was it specifically? Was it?
I don't know. I don't even know if I really posed it as a question. I was just kind of making it as like something to kind of talk about because I saw it in the news. They're planning on trying to have that done by like 2026.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw it. They did this week. They made the woolly. I think they're calling them woolly mice. They kind of made like super hairy mice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw that. As far as like since we're on it, I guess I'll kind of talk about it. As far as like the
Oh,
goal, I agree in terms of like will it benefit us as humans? That's kind of lower on the thing. The whole officially and from what people I've talked to and stuff have kind of said like the main thing is like they want like so like in especially in Siberia and stuff where like we have global climate change and stuff where like the mammoths used to kind of fill this niche where like they're super browsers, they got all this weight, they kind of almost terraform their surroundings, and where they've all died out that niche is yet to be filled. So like the big use case they're wanting to do is like release them in like Siberia and stuff, and then that would kind of halt the release of like the methane gas and stuff from there. Like where it's getting so warm there, a lot of the permafrost is starting to melt.
Mm-hmm.
And before, mammoths kind of kept that in check because they kind of, the way they ate and kind of moved and stuff. So kind of hoping to fill that niche and kind of slow down global warming. And I mean, honestly, for just being, talking amongst ourselves, the big thing is just like, oh, this is cool, so let's just do it. I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
that, like, I'm sure the big economic thing will end up being like, oh, we'll sell woolly mammoths to these zoos and stuff. And
Yeah.
since we're kind of on the topic of woolly mammoths, are you familiar with the Jack Horner's Chickenosaurus project?
No.
Okay, so Jack Horner was he's really famous for like being the paleontologist that worked like the Jurassic Park series.
Mm-hmm.
So like way back in like 2011, he did this TED talk, and his whole thing was like, okay, we know birds are dinosaurs, like phylogenetically. So like, I want to see if we can experiment and sort of make birds back into dinosaurs, like give them their tails back, their snouts and stuff. So that he's been working on that for like the past, like really 15 years now. In late 2023, he claimed they'd made a breakthrough. So they found, or at least he claimed, like a lot of the genes that used to cause like tail growth or snout and hands and stuff. They're what is the term for it? You're the biologist. Is it activistic? Is that the right
Maybe.
word? Okay, so activistic. So he's like claiming they're trying to figure out ways to like reactivate those genes. So besides like woolly mammoths, you could see like I don't want to say they're dinosaurs because they're still dinosaurs, but they're it'd be like you take a chicken and it would have its tail back and have its snout back, so it kind of looked more like a dinosaur. So I think overall what you could say is like I think I'm predicting some big advances in like genetic engineering.
Okay. I mean, and that's maybe like where I'd keep it. Is there's going to be some genetic engineering advances by 2026.
And I agree they're not like economically like huge or whatever, but it's more like, oh, cool, we did this, and now I can go to the zoo and see a mammoth and
Right.
something that looks like a velociraptor.
Yeah.
Dude, what? That was no microdose, man. I feel like Austin, an alien's definitely going to probe you this year with these woolly mammoth accusations.
Man, I'm
I mean,
waiting
it's
for it, baby.
possible. I'm not saying that it's not going to be something that we can do, but it's just like the reason. I think one of the reasons why we hadn't been done is the tech's not there. Now it's getting there, and I just think there's no incentive to do it.
Which
So.
that reminds me, if I can, I know I'm kind of belabored at this point, but like, do I think his name is like Max Haddock. He's the co-founder of Neuralink.
No.
So he's like one of Elon Musk's big business partners in like AI, and like he's claiming that we now have the tech to do it. And then there was a new AI model came out the other day that like they're using it to like successfully simulate like evolution and kind of like predict and create like genomes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like the guy that created it was like open, like, yeah, I kind of want to use this to bring back dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And like, so I mean, there is a lot of interest in it. I mean, obviously Jurassic Park is kind of like on everybody's mind, but like, so I do think there is a lot of signs the tech is now kind of getting to where we can do something like that.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it, like, just being honest, I mean, we spend our tax dollars on so much like bullshit. Like, honestly, if they could have like a park where I could go look at dinosaurs, that would be like the greatest
Oh,
use
well,
of
I
my
mean,
tax.
yeah, and that's different. That's a like I could see that, like being a fucking experience. Like, hey, come down here and watch these fucking velociraptors fly around. I'd be like, what the fuck, you know? Um,
Imagine doing that while you're high.
well, and I went to the
No
last time I went to the
microdose.
zoo. I was pretty high, so that's why I had Abby take me, and I took like an edible, and I was like, holy
I
shit, like
can't wait till I get to
this.
play the game of will these edibles be silly or scary tonight with Andrew.
I've got some. If you guys are here, I mean, I'm probably gonna take some later after I get done working out.
Are you both in Knoxville?
I mean, I'll be up there tomorrow.
Okay. I was like, why are you guys going? Like, how are you guys going to do
Definitely are
edibles?
playing that game on podcast with each other.
Yeah.
That would
So
be funny.
So I just got a message from, I think it was New York Times. Do you think Google's going to get broken up by 2026?
Nah.
What do you think, Josh?
No.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it either. And I think it's just because it's like I don't think the appetite's there. Like I don't think the appetite is like I could see like litigation and everything like that happening, but I just don't see them being like, okay, like we're gonna like now, like I think it's like, okay, there's anti-monopolistic practices. Okay, we agree. But I don't think they're gonna be like, okay, now we gotta break them up. I just feel like no one's really got the appetite on that. So Google still be Google what by 2026?
Yeah, I think it will. I just don't think there's.
Yeah.
He's already kind of
Okay.
signaled he doesn't want to push that either. So I mean,
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think for the next prediction there, Josh?
I would start with me. I feel like I've started a bunch of these. Y'all can pick one and then I'll work from there.
Okay. Austin, what do you think?
so okay, we don't talk about the trade situation yet, so that'd be a good one to do. Um, I definitely think you're going to see like a two-tier situation in trade policy. Like I think us and Mexico have kind of figured like I talked about it last night, where like Mexico's kind of like figured out how to like actually manage this, and Canada's just kind of I really don't know what to say what Canada's doing at this point. So I think you'll see kind of like a situation where like there'll be at least one. There'll be between now and like into next year. There's going to be an attempt to renegotiate the USMCA, and I think it'll work between us and Mexico, but it won't work between us and Canada. So I think there'll be some sort of like trade break between us and the Canadians.
Okay. So when you say break, what do you mean? Like they're not going to sign on to the deal?
I think there will be at least for the next year there'll be a trade war between us and Canada.
Okay, I'd agree with that. So what do you think, Josh?
What?
What do you think the trade situation between the U.S. and Canada is going to look like?
Oh, not great.
So do you think there'll be a trade war, or do you think
Not my
they're
best
going to
subject on this one.
reconcile?
I'm not good at the whole. I hate Canada, but no, I don't know if it'd be a trade war. I just don't think it's gonna be great.
I
It'll just
think.
be,
Go ahead.
it'll just be kind of existing. Like I think the
Yeah.
tariffs will be what they are. But go ahead. What you're saying?
Well, I was just gonna say, I could see. I think things are going to change when Trudeau gets kicked out. Which I think is going to happen in March, maybe or April. So I would honestly kind of take the other side of that there, Austin. I think that there will be a trade. I think there's going to be still some animosity between Canada and the U.S., but I think they're going to sign the deal.
Like, do you like mean between like us and
Like
Canada not signing
they're
the
going to
deal? Or?
sign on to whatever new, uh, what's it, USMCA? Isn't that what it is?
Yeah, it's like
They're going to sign on to whatever to that deal.
I think by next year, yeah, probably because like the economic consequences will be there. But I think at the minimum for like the next year, there'll probably be some trade war because like the Canadians, like yeah, Josh, I don't think you were here last night, so I'll kind of, and for anybody that didn't watch the last episode, I'll kind of reiterate it. But like Mexico seemed to get it pretty quick. Like Mexico was like kind of like okay, like publicly, yeah, whatever, we'll do it, and then like the like behind the scenes, it's pretty much just realized that it's not. They kind of figure out how to like play this, and Canada just has not figured out how to do it. Like Canada's taken the route of like, like we'll publicly fight them, like we'll do this and that, and they just don't seem to get it. So I think yes, and then like there was in the news the other day, like he's already created a carve out from Mexico where like I think it's like 95 to like 98% of their trade goods are fine, but like Canada, he just keeps like slapping them on them, and I think it just comes down to like Mexico knows how to play the game. They got it pretty well, but Canada just doesn't. And I don't know. You could write a whole paper on that, but anyway.
Okay. So, Josh, put for me, um, Canada will sign the deal. Will agree to new trade deal with U.S. and Mexico. Austin, you're saying they won't do that?
I want to say there'll be a trade war for at least a year, and then they probably sign some sort of deal.
What's the deal you're talking about? They're signing, Andrew.
Just like USMCA, NAFTA, basically. Okay. So Austin, so put for Austin, trade war in 2025. Then Canada signs the deal. All right, Josh, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Well, I think I'm with you on this one, Andrew.
Okay.
Yeah.
So put that down on your part. Um, Here's a question. What's your prediction on how many Trump's cabinet members will leave his cabinet by midterms?
Do we count Musk as a cabinet member?
No. I think you'll see one or two of Trump's cabinet members will leave by 2026.
I'm in agreement with that.
And then if I were to get specific, I could see it on, like, I can't remember which one, but it's either Treasury or Commerce I could see leaving. And I could see maybe Attorney General stepping down.
I had Attorney General. I had Attorney General as well. So
Is that Pam Bodney that's current
Yep.
AG? What do you think she'll step down?
I think because I think she does a lot of what Trump wants, and I think she'll take the blow if there's something there, and I think she'll step down. Like if there's shit going on like with this Mayor Eric Adams stuff, I could see her being like, okay, I'll step down and protect Trump. So, Josh, for me, put two cabinet members step down in 2026. AG and Commerce Secretary. I think it's Treasury. AG and Treasury. What do you think, Austin?
I don't. There's nobody that really sticks out to me as likely to resign. The reason I asked about the most thing is because I don't know if you saw that they had that cabinet meeting yesterday.
Yeah.
Like Trump took the side of like his cabinet. So I mean, like, so you're saying we won't count Elon Musk as like a quasi member. So I mean, I don't know. I really, nobody off the top of my head seems likely to just, up and quit. But the possibility exists. So
you're gonna say no cabinet members quit by 2026.
yeah, I mean, if you never know what'll happen, but like I just don't see any like big opportunities for a blow up, I guess.
Okay. And then Josh, you're saying two will quit.
yes.
Okay. Here's one. Do you think there's going to be any changes to Second Amendment legislation by 2026?
By legislation, would that include like court stuff? Like if the courts ruled on something, I mean that's obviously not normal legislation, but that does.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Do you think gun legislation will dramatically change in 2026?
No, I mean there is a court case, if I'm not mistaken, kind of working.
Maybe that's what I should say. Maybe firearm Second Amendment policy will change by 2026.
In terms of like Congress or the president doing something, no. In terms of like the courts doing some stuff, there is a court case kind of working its way through now. Do you guys know what bump stocks are?
Yes.
So there was a lower court that ruled the ban. Funnily enough, the ban was under Trump back in 2017, but it ruled that ban was unconstitutional and it is making its way through the courts. So that could be something big. That would be a big rollback because like they banned it in the aftermath of the Vegas shooting. So like if bump stocks come back, that'd be a huge one.
Okay. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I agree with Austin on that.
Okay, so put bump stocks will come back for Austin and Josh. I think more than just bump stocks will change in 20.
How do I spell that? Is it BU what?
BUMP.
Bump stocks will come back. Sure. Here.
Okay. What do you have another one, Josh, or You want us to keep going?
I don't have I don't have another one, but if y'all have another one, um,
What do you think, Austin?
I'll do one more, and then I think that'll kind of do it. So we got the Canadian elections coming up. We got the Romanian elections coming up. I think the French have an election coming up. I might be wrong on that, but I think you'll see a lot more instability in Europe, and I think that'll kind of continue to create like international like situations because like it's just becoming so politically destabilized in Europe. So I think that'll be something kind of watch for in the next 2 years. There's elections coming up in Portugal. That's who it was. It's not France. It's Portugal. So a lot of
Okay.
these like nations are. So I would say more. I would put me down for like some political upsets around the world, more instability.
Okay. Um, not necessarily counter to that. I would actually say that I think, and this will go into my next one. I think liberals, especially in Europe, are going to come back, and I think they will. I mean, you might see some, one or two countries here and there, but I think that you're going to start seeing more left-leaning groups take over in Europe. What do you think, Josh?
I'll be honest, I don't know on this one.
Okay. So put for me, liberal resurgence in Europe, or left resurgence in Europe, maybe. And then for Austin, put uh, what Austin, more right wing groups uh, take power and uh, increasing instability.
Yeah, we can go with that.
So then the last one that we'll do for tonight. Do Democrats take back the House
No,
or Senate in 2026?
no,
So you say so no to which, House or Senate?
nope.
So Democrats got no chance in hell and at so you think Democrats aren't going to get the House or Senate?
No.
What do you think what do you think, Austin?
Working campaigns, my friend. I'm saying no.
What do you think, Austin?
He's got a valid point because like they really me and you kind of talked about last night. Like it just seems they're so rudderless and kind of directionless. But at the same time, it's like if the economy does go under,
If
like
if the
that's
Jews would recreate, they're gonna have to restructure their entire party and their entire way of thinking if they want any form of a chance of getting it back.
Yeah. Well, and I'm actually going to say I think they will take the House just because they only need 4 seats, and they can find the 4 seats.
Wait.
So Dems take the House at midterms. I think they'll still lose the Senate. They may pick up 1 seat.
I kind of agree with that. I think that's a good conservative kind of.
And the only reason is because I do believe that 2024 was kind of a right shift. And I think people took stuff out on Democrats. And so I think you did see Republicans surge. But that's why I think when you kind of come back, I think I could see a correction. I think now I think they're not gonna typical Democrats. And I can say this as someone who, works with them. I will say that I don't think they like if they could say have 20 seats at play, they're only gonna get like 10 or 5. You know what I mean? Like they're not gonna be able to take advantage of their full position. So I think you're basically just gonna flip where Democrats have a 4-seat majority or something like that, or 3-seat majority, and they'll hold the House. and they'll lose the Senate, and obviously, Trump will be lost. So that's what I think. That's what I think is going to happen. So, what do you think, Austin?
I agree with Joshua that like there's got to be like a wholesale like redo thing, but I'm also like if the economy does go under, like that would be such a strong headwind to fight that I do think like and two with like the Republicans having such a narrow majority in the House, I do think they'll take the House. I don't think that, I agree with you in that, but and I also agree that they won't take back the Senate. So yeah, I kind of agree directionally.
Okay. Any final words there, Josh?
No, I mean I think it's good.
Okay. Okay. Then we'll see what happens. Yeah. So that's kind of what we got. Let's go back through them. So we all think that there's going to be a prediction that a recession will happen in 2025. Housing market will crash later this year, and Google will still be Google by the end of by midterms. And then if we go down, scroll down, Josh. I'm claiming that Ukraine war will end Q2, Q3 of 2025. Crypto crash, bull run, mass deportations, only small increase above nominal, and then Trump tax cuts will be extended, minor tweaks. See, that's also another one where I'm like, Trump got slammed when they did their Tax Cuts and Jobs Act. I think that was like around the lowest approval, so I think like that's not gonna help. Some other stuff's gonna happen, not gonna help. I think Chips and Science Act will be defunded. And I think all that money's gonna get spent somewhere else. I think I could see an AI expansion in 2026. I think Canada will sign a deal with the USMCA. Two Trump cabinet members will step down for some reason. I think you will see liberals will coalesce in Europe. And I think Dems will take the House in the midterms, but will lose the Senate, but they may pick up one seat. So let's scroll down to the other two. So Austin thinks the war will end at the end of the year, sees a international debt currency deal late in the year, deportations below 200,000, exemption of tax cuts. Chips and Science Act will finish, but currently on the table. See if you got anyone's out there. So, you don't think any Trump cabinet members are going to leave. You don't think that they'll take the House or the Senate, the Democrats, and then you think more right wing groups will take power in Europe.
The only thing I'll add is like I do think they'll take the House. I probably wasn't clear enough on that. My bad.
Okay, so at that part, okay. Okay, now let's scroll down to you, Josh. Let's see what you got. So you got Ukraine war will end at the end of the year, crypto crash, and then bull run. You think there'll be a debt deal at the end of 2025. You think the Department of Ed will be gone by Q3. Mass deportations, unsure. You think mass deportations will occur, but you're unsure of the impact or number. Trump's tax cuts expanded, so more extensions are going to come. And then Chips and Science Act will finish, and then they'll get rid of that money. And then you believe that there will be an AI expansion at the end of the year. You think that Canada's going to sign some sort of deal with the United States and Mexico. Two cabinet members will leave. Bump stocks will come back, and Democrats will not be able to take the majority in 2026. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. Well, let's leave it here. Let's revisit this, towards the end of the year and kind of see where we're at, and see if we see who's right. So we'll leave it there, and then we'll see what happens. All right, Josh.
All right, I'll stop recording in 5, 4, 3, 2.